The well in the village of Thornbrook stood crooked, its wooden rim worn smooth by generations of hands drawing water and whispers. It was here, under a sky heavy with unshed rain, that Ilara's lie was born. She stood tall in her dark blue wool dress, the finest she owned, dyed with woad and stitched with pride. Her hands gripped the rope as the bucket scraped up, water sloshing over the rim. Nearby, young Marta coughed, a dry, rattling sound that had haunted the hamlet for weeks. They say the Baroness sealed the granary yesterday, muttered old Gwen, wringing her apron. Ilara's eyes flashed. Asterisk sealed, asterisk no one had starved in Thornbrook, not yet, but fear was a sharper hunger. She turned, voice ringing clear over the clink of buckets, I sealed it tight. While we choke on dust, she feeds barley to her lapdogs, served in silver bowls, I'm told. A gasp. Then a murmur. Then a roar. She hadn't seen silver bowls. She hadn't seen dogs fed grain. But the image stuck, vivid, venomous, believable. By dusk, in the smoky gloom of the Bent Plough Tavern, her words had grown claws. She laughed, they say. Laughed as Marta's mother begged for a cup. No one asked for proof. The truth was quieter than the lie, and in Thornbrook, noise ruled. By dawn, the lie had teeth. Guards came not with swords drawn, but with grim faces and rope-bound wrists. Ilara didn't resist, not yet. She let them lead her from her cottage, barefoot onto the cold mud path. Her dark blue dress, once a badge of respectability, now felt like a target. Villagers lined the route, not cheering, not jeering. Just watching. A woman she'd shared bread with looked away. Her husband, Thomas, walked 10 paces behind, his knuckles white around his cap. Even the blacksmith's boy, who once brought her wildflowers, hid behind his mother's skirts. The oak post stood in the center of the square, gnarled, scarred, ancient. Not a gallows. Worse, a place of shame. The constable, a man with a face like hardened leather, unspooled the whip. 6 lashes, no more, no less. The Baron's law was precise. Slander that incites unrest shall be scourged, that truth may be remembered in the sting. The first lash cracked across her shoulders. She flinched, but held her breath. The second tore the wool at the seam. A hot line of fire. The third drew blood. A dark bloom spread over the blue fabric, dye and life mingling. On the fourth, her knees buckled. A sound escaped her, not a scream, but a broken gasp, raw and small. Tears cut clean paths through the dirt on her cheeks. She dared to glance up. There on the castle steps, stood the Baroness, no crown, no velvet, just a travel-stained cloak and eyes that held no triumph. Only sorrow. The 6th lash fell. Silence followed, deeper than before. 3 days later, Ilara's back was wrapped in linen soaked with vinegar and yarrow. The fever had passed. The shame had not. She was summoned again to the square, not bound this time, but holding a single beeswax candle, its flame trembling in her shaking hand. The Baron stood before the oak post. You will speak, he said, voice low. Not to me. To them. Ilara faced the crowd. Same faces. Same silence. She swallowed, throat tight. I lied. Her voice cracked, but she pressed on. There were no silver bowls. No lapdogs fed on barley. The Baroness did not laugh. I I twisted a half-heard word into a weapon. I wanted to feel wise. Powerful. Instead, I made us weaker. I dishonored my home. My husband. Myself. She looked at Marta's mother, standing arms crossed, face unreadable. I am sorry. Not because I was whipped, though that was just. But because the lie hurt. And truth is heavier to carry. I will carry it now. No applause. No forgiveness offered aloud. But Marta's mother gave a single, slow nod. Weeks passed. The Baroness's men uncovered the truth. The grain was poisoned, not by her, but by salt-laced seed from a rival lord. The sealed granary had saved lives. Ilara, now in a simple, undyed grey dress she'd woven herself, helped pack clean barley into sacks. She worked beside the mute servant girl, the one who'd signed the truth to the priest. Between them, a language grew, hands, nods, shared bread. One evening, as dusk painted the sky in lavender and ash, Ilara walked alone to the square. The oak post stood as always, silent, enduring. She knelt, not in punishment this time, but in promise. From her pocket, she drew a sprig of lavender, its scent sharp and clean. She pressed its stem into the earth at the base of the post, beside a crack in the wood where her blood had once fallen. Then she rose. Behind her, the village smoke curled into the cooling air. Ahead, the path home, muddy, familiar, waiting. She walked, no longer proud. No longer broken. Just, truthful. And for the first time in years, the weight on her shoulders felt like grace.